Hi, welcome back to the Rose at Home channel. I am Rose and I am at home. And it's been a hot minute and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the home buying is over and now we're into the home living. And so to jump back into getting used to talking to you, I thought today I would share with you the books I bought in April. And there's a lot of them. I had space on shelves and I am gonna do a shelf tour soon. I've got to figure out all the logistics of filming it and how to put it all together, but I am gonna give you a shelf tour. But I wanted you to see everything that I got and get to talk about everything that I got in April. And it is more books that I've bought in a long time, saving up for the house and dealing with the house and all of that stuff. And I went a little overboard, but I don't quite mind. So the first thing I picked up, I'm gonna give you right here, Legends and Lattes. I've been hearing so much about this book and just the whole idea of it has me like so in love. So this is an orc who wants to give up orking and ravaging and pillaging and all of the traditional orc violence and open a coffee shop, except coffee doesn't exist. So, you know, they've got some hurdles to overcome, but everyone keeps saying that it is a low stakes kind of book. It's not a lot of like big heavy stuff, but it's a lot of fun, and my goodness, can I use some fun. And so I'm super excited. I do hope to get to this in April. Obviously not in April, it is April 30th. I do hope to get to this in May, and I'm very, very excited to read it. So Legends and Lattes. Another thing I picked up, I think I picked it up with Legends and Lattes. It was on the 50%, like it was BOGO 50 at Barnes & Noble. And so I obviously needed to pick something else up to get that deal. It didn't make sense not to, so I picked up Not So Perfect Strangers by L.S. Stratton. I did this at the beginning of April, and I'm admitting to you right now, other than this being a thriller, I have no idea what it's about, but give me, okay. Tasha Jenkins has finally found the courage to leave her abusive husband, taking her teenage son with her. Tasha checks into a hotel the night before their flight out of DC, out of Cordell Jenkins' life forever. But escaping isn't so easy, and Tasha soon finds herself driving back to her own personal hell. As she is leaving, a white woman pounds on her car window, begging to be let in. Behind the woman, an angry man is in pursuit. Tasha makes a split-second decision that will alter the course of her life. She lets her in and takes off. Tasha and Madison Jingel may have different everyday realities, but what they have in common is marriages they need out of. The two women want to help each other. They just have very different ideas of what that means. And they are on a collision course that will end in the case files of the DC MPD homicide unit. Okay, now I remember why I picked this up. I got like a weird Planes, Trains, and is it Planes? Throw Mama from the Train. Is that the movie? The one that's by Crisscross, where they trade people to kill, except for it was a bumbling comedy, but that's the vibe I got. Trains, Planes, and Automobiles is a totally different movie, but I think it's Throw Mama from the Train. And so that's just kind of the vibe I got, and I thought Throw Mama from the Train, but not funny. So maybe that, I think that sounded cool, and so we will see. The next thing I picked up, and how could I not look at that cover, is Weyward by Emilia Hart. And this follows three women in three different time periods. We've got 2019, under cover of darkness, Kate flees London for ramshackle Weyward cottage, inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers, etc., etc. And then 1619, Alpha is awaiting trial for the murder of a local farmer who was stampeded to death by his herd. When Althea was a girl, her mother taught her their magic, a kind not rooted in spellcasting, but in a deep knowledge of the world. And then third timeline, in 1942, as World War II rages, Violet is trapped in her family's grand crumbling estate. Straitjacketed by societal convention, she longs for the robust education her brother receives, and for her mother, long deceased, who was rumored to have gone mad before her death. That sounds amazing. And so this one absolutely sooner rather than later. If anything, I'll hold it for October, but I don't want to do that. I'd like to get to it before then because I'm super excited. One of the things that I try to do during this month is to read books from Asian and Asian Pacific cultures and authors. And so I think what I'm going to do is actually reread The Poppy Wars by R.F. Kuang, but I did purchase Babel by R.F. Kuang. And from what I understand, I read The Poppy War, but it's been so long and I didn't finish the series that I need to do a reread before I continue. But from what I understand, this is very, very different. Babel, it deals with language. And so let me give you a little. 1828, Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, Robin trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. The Tower and its students are the world's center for translation and, more importantly, magic. And it continues, but that just sounded amazing. From what I understand, some people that have issues is because it is very different from what the Poppy Wars and that trilogy is, but I think I'm okay with that. I like the idea of the academic side and all of that. It sounds like really interesting. So hopefully I will get to this too. It is a bit of a chunker, and I really, really, really want to do the whole Poppy Wars series, and so that might be where I go this month, but we'll see. I'll probably maybe do a video of this, of the things that I have to read for this month, but one that I do plan to get to and add to a TBR for this month is Dust Child. I believe it's Wen Fan Kui Mai. I think I'm saying that correctly. This is the second book by this author. The first book was The Mountains Sing, and it was one of my favorite reads of 2022. This is a Vietnamese writer and poet, from what I understand, and The Mountains Sing was her debut novel in English, and this is the second. Oh, my receipt is still in it. In 1969, sisters Trang and Nguyen, maybe, desperate to help their parents pay off debts, leave their rural village to work at a bar in Saigon. Once in the big city, the girls are thrown headfast into a world they were not expecting. They learn how to speak English, how to dress seductively, and how to drink and flirt with American GIs in return for money. As the war moves closer to the city, the once innocent Trang gets swept up in an irresistible romance with a handsome and kind American helicopter pilot she meets at the bar. And it continues. And so it's set during the time of the Vietnam. A lot of literature we have that deals with the Vietnam War is from the perspective of the American soldiers who were there and fighting. That's the perspective that we have. Those are the stories that we've been told. So getting to hear the stories from someone whose family and is from that country and who can speak to the stories from the other side is just fascinating. And I actually learned a lot from The Mountains Sing, and I'm super excited for this one, and it is absolutely going on my May TBR. When I first heard about this book, it was from someone doing an unboxing from one of those specialty book subscriptions where you have to pay ahead and you don't really know what the book is going to be, but they're gorgeous. And so I saw them opening this book with just beautiful covers and beautiful sprayed edges and so much loveliness, and I was like, I want that copy, but of course you can't get that copy. You have to have already been subscribed to get that one. And then when it released in the US, the cover was kind of a gaudy yellow, and I was like, oh, the book sounds so interesting, but man, that cover is not cute. And then I saw someone else on BookTube who ordered theirs through who was British, and they got theirs through Waterstones. And the British cover was really pretty and very close to what the book subscription cover was. And so I went to where I always go when I want the British cover, and that was Book Depository. And I ordered it, and actually I ordered two things with the British covers, and I got my shipping notification a few days later, and almost immediately after my shipping notification, I got the email that Book Depository was closing. Apparently, Amazon bought them a bit ago and is now just shutting them down. And I don't know how to get British covers now. So if you know how to get British covers in the US, I've been on the Waterstone site. It says that they ship internationally, but it doesn't, like, it's not super clear about how, like, what I need to do and all of that stuff. So if I'm just complicating things and it is that easy, or if there's someplace else that I can get British covers when I want them, please let me know down in the comments below. But without further ado, this is The Adventures of Amina. Look at that. Look at that foil. Look at that. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon. I know how to say this. What am I doing? Charaborty. Also goes by S and another initial with their other works. But this is, look at that cover. Like, that's so much prettier than that yellow of, look at that spine. Ah, I'm in love. But it is the story of a pirate, a female pirate who has retired and kind of gets pulled back into the business for one last heist kind of thing. I love those stories. They're totally my favorites. It's something I know is going to be just an amazing, amazing romp, and I can't wait to get to it. So this one is going to be, I feel like this is a treat read. Like, it's a reward book that I need to give myself at reward. It doesn't seem like something I'm just pick up because I'm not reading something. It's going to be a reward book. I had a number of book kind of heartbreaks this month. This actually started back in March. So I guess it wasn't a this month heartbreak, but it kind of culminated this month. What happened in March, if you didn't know, Barnes & Noble used to have an educator card where if you were a teacher, you got 20% off. It was a thank you to educators, like, you teach people to do the stuff they need to know how to do to appreciate our store, so thank you very much. Here you go, 20% off. And it was awesome. And so a lot of what you see behind you is because I never had to pay full price. I could always go through Barnes & Noble, and even it would be 20% off whatever their sale price was. So if the book was already 10% off or 30% off, we got an additional 20% off as educators. And so yeah, it was easy to buy a lot of books and to have books and be able to use books as decor like I do, because I had that option. But they decided in March that they were getting rid of it. They, you know, basically said, if you want bulk things for your classroom, contact our bulk things office, but otherwise, bye. But as a consolation prize, they did give us a free year of their new premium membership, which is $40 a month. So I took that. Currently, the plan is not to renew that. If I'm going to pay for a membership, I'll pay for a membership to a place that does not have corporate backing. My local independent bookstore has a membership. It doesn't really come with % off or anything like that. But again, if I'm going to support, I should support someone who doesn't have the support of a corporation behind them. And so, wondering what I was going to do, I started looking into other places and ways to get new release books, because that's what I get really excited about, for not as much, like, to find deals on the new release books. And so one of the things I looked at was Book of the Month. Not sponsored. They don't know I exist, other than I asked my Facebook friends, any of you doing Book of the Month, do you know about book quality and all of that? Because I'd seen a few who said the paper quality wasn't as good, and crickets. Nobody I know has Book of the Month. And so I thought, okay, I will take one from the team for the team, and I joined Book of the Month. Paper quality, it's not quite as smooth. I will tell it, like, I'm sitting here feeling up the book. It's not as smooth as, here, let me grab this one. Oh, actually that one's kind of rough too. So it's not super smooth pages, but I don't see any other difference. The cover seems as thick as normal. All of that kind of stuff. The cover art is the same, except for it's got the little stamp on the top, so you know it's Book of the Month. From what I understand, I've seen people with them on their shelves, and they're all going to be the same size, so you could make a Book of the Month shelf on your shelving, and they would work that way. So about that, I'm pretty happy about quality. I don't know if it's something that I'm super crazy excited about that's coming out. I think I would find another way to get it instead of with the Book of the Month stamp on it if I already know that I want it and I already know I'm going to love it. But if it's something that I'm just hearing about or not 100% on, or if it's going to be like a mystery or something like that, then absolutely, I think I would go this route. A few things that I learned that I didn't know. So again, not sponsored, so I don't have to like be super nice about it. Yeah, right now the price, like you'll see different people saying different prices. My price, I pay like $16 a month, and you keep seeing that the add-ons are only like $9.99 to get 2 additional books. You can get 3 books at a time. That's not the case. At least it's not the case for the first like three boxes that you order. So all of the add-ons are the same price as the regular book. So they would all be that $17 a piece. So I think I'll wait till I get to that $9.99 after 3 boxes if that happens. If it doesn't happen, I will let you know. But that was again a whole lot of see, books I can talk about for days. This is my first choice that I picked, and at first, after I had put in, like, this was my choice, and then I started seeing other people talking about the other books, I was like, I'm not sure I picked the right thing, but I really liked this. It's got a low Goodreads. It's like a 3.4 something on Goodreads, and I think, this is my guess, and it's just a guess, I think folks are picking it up thinking it's going to be a rom-com, that it's going to be lighter and funnier than it is, and it's not. They also started calling it like a new Evelyn Hugo. That's not what this is either. This is a new kind of Rebecca? Verity-esque? It's Verity is like Gothic light. Rebecca is Gothic literature. It's got all of the tropes, all of the expected things that you see in Gothic. Jane Eyre, that kind of thing. Jane Eyre, Rebecca, those books have very similar points that they hit. Verity hit a good bit of those. This one, not all, but a good bit of those. This one hits less, but it's got a lot of that. It's that young, kind of overwhelmed, lower class girl, not in the best headspace, romanced off her feet by this much older man, moved into this giant house where she realizes that she doesn't have the freedom she thought she did and things aren't exactly what she thought. There are these other wives that are haunting her. So yeah, I would say if you think you might be interested in Gothic literature, but you're not for sure, this is a great kind of dip your toe in kind of thing. But it's not light and it's not like funny haha. It's pretty heavy. She does stupid things. But again, so did the nameless character in Rebecca, and so did, I don't even remember her name from Verity. She makes stupid choices. Everybody in here is kind of dumb. And I think maybe that's part of Gothic lit as well. But yeah, there's times when you'll want to shake her, but there are things that she does that I just remember looking at the reviews in Goodreads when the book was on the way, and there are things that she does that I'm like, you know what, at 26, I'd have made the same choice. The book opens, she's a bartender and she's working at a big Hollywood post-Oscars party, and this guy, I'm losing battery, this guy puts a little cape on his Oscar to try to make her smile, and you know what? I'd be a smitten kitten too. Like, at 50, I'd be a smitten kitten. So I wouldn't have made all the same choices she made throughout the book, but I can understand why she made them and how she ended up where she did. And that part to me, like, I don't have a problem with her making choices that don't seem in character. They are. But I really liked it. I think if you like that type of thing, if you liked Verity, if you liked Rebecca but thought it was a little heavy here, I don't know. If you liked Rebecca but would like something a little lighter, this could be your book. Advika and the Hollywood Wives, if I didn't say that. Okay, I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I'm back. I was gone, my battery died, and I still have 2 stacks of books to get through. and I'm losing my light. This light I think is good, and I've got a big old window right here. I've got overhead light over here, and it seems to be working. I hope. I'm trying to get the glare out of the glasses. So I'm going to continue. This was another one of my where else can I shop other than Barnes & Noble buys, and it was, I've already mentioned them. Target is a great place to get books. And this sounded absolutely amazing. I got 2 on that trip to Target. It was not my fault, I will tell you. I was with a friend, and my friend had to go to the restroom and left me in the book section and said, I'll be back. And I said, this is not going to end well. And so here we are. This is Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. Gillian McAllister. And this sounds amazing. So this book, a woman looks out her window and sees her teenage child shoot someone. And I don't know if it's immediately or the next morning she wakes up and it's the day before. And she has a chance to try to fix things, and time she can't fix things, she keeps going back and like a Groundhog Day, 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle kind of thing. But it sounds awesome, and it sounds really cool. The Goodreads reviews are really phenomenal. It's got over 4 stars on Goodreads, and so I think I'm really going to enjoy this. I think this is going to be fun and twisty-turny kind of ride, and I am here for it. It is Stay Awake by Megan Goldin. And the premise of this one, this girl wakes up in the backseat of a taxi covered in blood. She doesn't know how she got there. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know where the blood is from. She doesn't remember anything that's happened. She tries to go to her house, and she gets there and someone else opens the door and says, no, this is my house. I don't know you, and I don't know why you're here. And so all sorts of hijinks seem to be ensuing in this, and it sounds really trippy and suspensey and thrillery, and it sounds like a lot of fun. I got it. And then check the Goodreads reviews, and they look good too, so I'm super excited for a time that I just need to jump in the deep end and just take a good ride. This is the second book that I got from my final order from Book Depository out of the UK. And I did like the US cover, but it was just, again, it looked different than the US cover, and so I went ahead and got it. This is The Last Tale of the Fire Bride by Roshani Chokshi. The US cover has a girl with like pieces missing and flowers, and so I thought this was really pretty as well. I thought it was just as pretty, and because it was different, I thought that would be cool, so I went ahead and grabbed this. This is Once Upon a Time. A man who believed in fairy tales married a beautiful, mysterious woman named Indigo Maxwell Castaneda. He was a scholar of myths. She was heiress to a fortune. They exchanged gifts and stories and believed they would live happily ever after. And in exchange for her love, Indigo extracted a promise that her bridegroom would never pry into her past. But when Indigo learns that her estranged aunt is dying and the couple is forced to return to her childhood home, the House of Dreams, the bridegroom soon finds himself unable to resist. For within the crumbling manor's extravagant rooms and musty halls there lurks the shadow of another girl, Azure, Indigo's dearest childhood friend who disappeared without a trace. Seems pretty cool. Seems mystery, gothic, heavy. Oh, I think it'll be fun. This is something else that I picked up at Target on my abandoned in the book section. I don't know if all Targets are this way. Let me know in the comments if yours is, but our Target has a really good book section. It's multiple aisles. The kids section now is its own section it's in the toys. So it doesn't seem like it's not fun for reading and stuff like that. I love that they did that. And so there's a lot of really good ones. This is one that I have looked at and looked at and looked at, and they had it in in paperback now, and I went ahead and grabbed it, and it is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Surle, is how I'm gonna imagine you say that. And the cover looks rom-com. Based on description, it is not rom-com. It is about a young woman who has lost her mother, and her mom were supposed to go on a trip to Italy, and mom passed away before they could go. And so the daughter decides to go anyway, and she runs into her mother 30 years ago. So she runs into a young version of her mother, and I don't get the impression that it's just someone who reminds her of her mom. I think she's actually found her, it's some kind of magical realism or speculative kind of element to it, but she's actually found her young mom and kind of dealing with all of that and working through all of that and working through who her mother was back prior to her birth and all of that. And it sounds good. It sounds heavy. It doesn't sound like what the cover makes it look like, because the cover makes it look like it's just light and fun, but I do think I'm going to enjoy it. And so I went ahead and grabbed that. I have another one that's another kind of mom book, and I literally picked this up today. If I'd have filmed this video yesterday, it wouldn't have been in it. But it was actually a Facebook message that at Books A Million for Mother's Day, they had certain hardcovers that were 50% off. And it literally was like 6 or 7 books. It wasn't a huge selection, but there were 2 that I already had on my to buy list, like if I found them, or if I found them for a good price. And so, of course, I had to go grab them. And so this is Things I Wish I Told My Mother by Susan Patterson and Susan Delallo. It says with James Patterson. I think that means he has something to do with the premise. Generally, from what I understand, when it's like a with James Patterson, he doesn't actually do writing. He helps with premise and kind of outlining, and then lets writers write. From what I understand, don't quote me on that one. Premise isn't on here, which doesn't make any sense to me. But so I'm going to tell you what I understand that this is about, because I had already marked this on my Goodreads before I bought it. And it is about a mother and a daughter who have secrets, who it didn't seem like they communicate super well, who have different views of the other than what they truly are, and stuff and things happen and hijinks ensue to where, and I'm like doing all these arm motions you can't see, and I probably just look like I'm shaking all over the place. They've got all this stuff going on, and they eventually have to communicate and learn about each other, who each other really are, as opposed to who they think they are. And so I don't know if I made that sound good at all, but I was really interested, and when this was at 50% off, I was like, no, yep, that one is for me. And that is Maame. And this is one that I've been looking at and looking at and looking at. It's one that I had thought I might pick up through Book of the Month. It's been a Book of the Month pick. Once I got the lesser expensive ones. It's one that they even had at Target, and I almost grabbed and didn't, and I'm really glad because I got it 50% off. And it's fair to say that Maddie's life in London is far from rewarding. With a mother who spends most of her time in Ghana, yet still somehow manages to be overbearing, Maddie is the primary caretaker for a father who suffers from advanced stage Parkinson's. At work, her boss is a nightmare, and Maddie is tired of always being the only black person in every meeting. When her mom returns from her latest trip to Ghana, Maddie leaps at the chance to get out of the family home and finally start living. A self-acknowledged late bloomer, she's ready to experience some important firsts. She finds a flat share, says yes to after-work drinks, pushes for more recognition in her career, and throws herself into the bewildering world of internet dating. But it's not long before tragedy strikes, forcing Maddie to face the true nature of her unconventional family and the perils and rewards of putting her heart on the line. That sounds really good. I feel like I've got a whole bunch of mother-daughter things in a row here. It reminded me in the description of Transcendent Kingdom, which is one of my top books kind of all time. It's on the shelf somewhere behind me. So that's why this one has been on my radar, because of that of that recognition with Transcendent Kingdom. The next one I grabbed because it's one that when I was narrowing down for Book of the Month, that was one of my maybe choices and I didn't pick it, and then I was kind of like kicking myself over not picking it, but then they had it at Target at about the same price as the Book of the Month price, so I went ahead and grabbed it, and it is Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. And this sounded adorable. It sounds like it's going to be kind of a lighter, funner thing. I believe it is just a full-out romance. Oh, I don't know why you're on that page. Okay. Sally Milts is a sketch writer for The Night Owls, a late-night comedy show that airs every Saturday. With a couple of heartbreaks under her belt, she's long abandoned the search for love, settling instead for the occasional hookup, career success, and a close relationship with her stepfather to round out a satisfying life. But when Sally's friend and fellow writer Dan Horst begins dating Annabelle, a glamorous actress who guest hosted the show, he joins the not-so-exclusive group of talented but average-looking and even dorky men at the show, and in society at large, who've gotten romantically involved with incredibly beautiful and accomplished women. Sally channels her annoyance into a sketch called the Danny Horst Rule, poking fun at this phenomenon, while underscoring how unlikely it is the reverse would ever happen for a woman. Enter Noah Brewster, a pop music sensation with a reputation for dating models who signed on as both host and musical guest for this week's show. Dazzled by his charm, Sally hits it off with Noah instantly, and as they collaborate on one sketch after another, she begins to wonder if there might actually be sparks flying. But this isn't a romantic comedy. Yes, it is. This is real life. And in real life, someone like him would never date someone like her, right? It seems fun. It seems like it's going to be a good time. Hopefully it's fun. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. And then there are two that I picked up on their release day because they both came out that week. Like, I think I had marked, if you're on Goodreads, under news and resources or something, every Tuesday they list the top 6 books that people have bookmarked or had marked as wanting to pick up, and so they list those, and that, like, I think all 6 of them were books that I was interested in, but there were 2 specifically that I was absolutely dying for. And some writers in romance that I have discovered early on that they set the bar for me. And one of them is Talia Hibbert with the Brown Sisters trilogy. Like, that, I love that trilogy. I love those books. And the other is Emily Henry. Specifically, Beach Read is my absolute favorite Emily Henry at this time. I have not read Book Lovers yet, so I'm trying to decide, do I do this or that first? But this came out this past Tuesday, and it is Emily Henry's Happy Place. And I got it in hardcover. I'm sold. I am an every Emily Henry person. I'm right there. And because I think the lowest I've rated one of hers is like a 4. The People We Meet on Vacation wasn't one of my absolute favorites, but it was still super strong. And like I said, Beach Read is like, everything else has to measure up to that. And so Happy Place. Harriet and Wynne have been the perfect couple since they met in college. They go together like salt and pepper, honey and tea, lobster and rolls. Except now, for reasons they're still not discussing, they don't. They broke up 5 months ago and still haven't told their best friends, which is how they find themselves sharing a bedroom at the main cottage that has been their friend group's yearly getaway for the last decade. Their annual respite from the world, where the once vibrant, beautiful, blissful week they leave behind their daily lives, have copious amounts of cheese, wine, and seafood, and soak up the salty coastal air with people who understand them most. Only this year, Harriet and Wynne are lying through their teeth while trying not to notice how desperately they still want each other. Because the cottage is for sale, and this is the last week they'll all have together in this place. They can't stand to break their friends' hearts, so they'll play their parts. Harriet will be the driven, surgical resident who's never started a fight, and Wynne will be the laid-back charmer who never lets the cracks show. It's a flawless plan, if you look at it from a great distance through a pair of sunscreen-smeared eyeglasses. After years of being in love, how hard can it be to fake it for 1 week in front of those who know you best? That sounds like fun. That sounds like a good... Where I live, maybe I'll show you at some point, there's like this big like communal, there's no pool or anything like that, but we have this communal like grassy area, like a big grassy area with a pond and stuff. And one of my thoughts for the summer is to get a nice like quilty thing that I can take to just lay out in the grass and read books. Way to get some sun in so I don't just stay in the house all day when I'm not teaching. And this sounds like it'd be great to read out there on the grass. I'm just trying to get the glare out of my glasses. To read out there in the grass, and I think I'm gonna love it. And the last, absolutely not least, I was so excited from the second I heard that this book was coming out, because I hate even saying this because I have a number of books that are like my top tier pinnacle of all books, and one of them I literally bought multiple copies last Christmas and like gave them away to friends because I wanted to know more people who read this book so I could talk about this book. And that was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I've also read Under the Whispering Door by him, which I didn't like as much, but that's not saying anything because I still think about Chauncey and finding him on a vacation carrying my luggage one day. So the newest T.J. Klune, In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, and this I did get at Barnes & Noble, even though they totally dissed us teachers, because we have the special end papers and the green foil embossed cover, which I believe is one of the characters. Haven't read it yet, so I don't know, but yeah, I actually looked in this book at other places just to make sure this actually was special, and it absolutely is. So none of those are, this is a Barnes & Noble exclusive. I know there'll be like all those book boxes with super fancy everything. Don't have everything, but I have a little bit of fancy. So, in a strange little home built into the branches of a grove of trees live 3 robots. Fatherly inventor android Giovanni Lawson, a pleasantly sadistic nurse machine, and a small vacuum desperate for love and attention. Victor Lawson, a human, lives there too. They're a family, hidden and safe. Then one day, Vic salvages and repairs an unfamiliar android labeled Hap, and he learns of a shared dark past between Hap and Geo, a past spent hunting humans. When Hap unwittingly alerts robots from Geo's former life to their whereabouts, the family is no longer hidden and safe. Geo is captured and taken back to his old laboratory in the City of Electric Dreams. So together, the rest of Vic's assembled family must journey across an unforgiving and otherworldly country to rescue Geo from decommissioning, or worse, reprogramming. Along the way to save Geo, amid conflicting feelings of betrayal and affection for Hap, Vic must decide for himself. Can he accept love with strings attached? So I'm super excited. It does sound like it's not going to be the cozy kind of hug that House in the Cerulean Sea was, but that's okay. I am prepared. I've read the synopsis. I've heard people who their problem was that it wasn't cozy, so I'm prepared for that. I love T.J. Klune's writing. I love the world building. I love that. I think I compared him once to Neil Gaiman and Roald Dahl having a writer baby, and that being T.J. Klune and his work, and I think that's pretty accurate. So that's everything that I purchased in April. I've only read one of them as of right now. April was a tough reading month for, well, it wasn't a tough reading month. I read one really long book that took the most of the month. And if I do a reading wrap up, you will see it there. But so this channel, obviously is not going to be just buying houses anymore, because I already bought a house. So there's not that much. I do have things that I want to say. So if you're just here for house buying, don't like leave me yet. I'm going to do a couple of kind of wrap up and breaking down my experience before I totally move into just Rose at home. So this is what Rose does at home. There will be some house fixing up kind of things, and we'll talk about why it's not going to be like every week in a different video that's not this. But what do I do at home? I read a lot, and I do puzzle things, and I do other things. And so we're going to talk about and I'm going to share with you what Rose is like at home, and I hope you enjoy that. And if that sounds awesome and you want to hear more about books and my reading or my life or my house or all of those and any of those things, please subscribe. I would love to have you stick around, and I'd love to keep talking to you, and I hope to see you again really soon. Bye.